Welcome back to my channel. Oh, here on my lips. There's a fucking fly in my room. I hope she's leaving soon because she's very irritating. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to show you the process of my latest oil painting. Here's a little disclaimer. I still consider myself as a beginning oil painting artist, but I thought maybe there's some other beginning oil painting artists out there who would like to struggle with me. So let's get started. So for this painting I'm going to use a wood panel that actually has been used before. I did another painting I didn't like, which happens quite often actually, and I painted over it with some white acrylic paint to get that covered up, and then I transferred my new sketch onto my wood panel. I started with the background first because I did a lot of colored pencil drawings in the last couple of weeks for you guys actually. So I thought maybe I would just start with something simple to get a feel for the colors in the paint again. I mixed a quite huge batch of gray for the background. In the upper part I added some yellow and red to make it a little bit warmer, and also some turquoise just to have some variations in the background. And for the lower part, which is darker, I added some more black and green to give it somewhat more variation in the color scheme. Here are all the colors I have used for this painting, but have a look at the video description box for the complete list of materials I have used and the links where to purchase them. I'm beginning with some loose color blocking where I don't pay much attention to any details yet. I know that the first layer won't provide much coverage anyway, and I will go over this when this layer is dry. So to help with the drying time I used looooong by Winsor & Newton. This is a painting medium which shortens the drying time of oil paints, and I almost never paint without it, especially when I work on a piece that is so exciting as this one is to me. The reference picture for this painting really spoke to me because the girl in this painting really looks like she knows that she's adorable and cute, but she also knows where she's going, and you better don't get in her way. That's what I really like about this. To avoid wasting mixed paint and also avoiding mixing one color over and over again, I apply this color wherever I can find it in my painting. I find it really hard to create a different value of red, because if I want to make a color brighter, then I just add white, but in combination with that, that leaves me with pink, and that's not what I'm looking for. I still don't have the solution for that, so if you know the answer, please let me know in the comment section. In the back of her jumpsuit I use magenta and blue to indicate the shadow, which at first looks like her jumpsuit is blue, but I love how our brain will read this as white as soon as I will finish the surrounding areas. And this is why we always have to take a closer look at the reference photos, since our brain sometimes tricks us to see a color differently than what it actually is. When I began working with oil paints about 3 years ago, I watched a ton of YouTube tutorials to help me get started. Most of these YouTube artists mixed all their skin tones before they started painting, so I did the same, but it didn't work for me at all. It always left me with so much unused paint that dried up over the time and then ended up in a trash. And since oil paints aren't cheap, this was an absolute waste of money for me. Instead, I mix a batch of one of the midtones and then work from there. I use darker colors or lighter colors with this base tone so I can adjust the value. I also can use more reds, more blues, more greens or whatever is needed. So this helped me to make the skin look more cohesive, if that makes sense. I mixed this base tone with a ton of white, yellow ochre and cadmium red. This is probably a very simple approach to oil painting, but it works for me. I am absolutely in love with this medium because it's so versatile and forgiving. If I make a mistake, I can either fix it right away or come back to it another time, which is what I find one of the best features when painting with oils. So don't get discouraged when something doesn't look the way you want it. With oil paints, the amount of you being able to repaint something is endless. Also, the first layer always looks somewhat messy, but if you come back and repaint this will look much better soon. Now that I have covered the whole wood panel with oil paint, I am done with the first layer and I'm gonna let that dry for a day. Time to go for a walk. The second layer is actually the fun part. It will give this painting more depth and I can amplify all the details that give this painting a more three-dimensional look. After I've darkened the hair and added some highlights, I continued doing the same with the skin. Especially the shadow area on her back needed to be way darker in order to create a contrast to the skin which is facing the sunlight. I used a mixture of alizarin crimson, burnt sienna and raw umber to tone down her back. I blend the colors in her arm into each other by gently going over the edges using a soft, dry and clean brush. However, I made sure that I laid down a decent amount of paint first, otherwise I will just wipe off the paint I wanted to blend. I have the tendency to hold my breath when I do very small, detailed areas, and with these hands I almost suffocated myself. But since I have just a limited area to work with, I only indicate the most prominent and important details to make it look somewhat realistic. With such a small painting, not all the details are important to create a convincing painting. But I'm not gonna lie to you guys, working this small was hard and I am not used to this. I always felt the urge to put my face very close to the painting surface in order to feel more control of what I'm actually doing. But then you would have only seen my head instead of the painting, so that obviously wasn't an option. If you would like to see more of my videos, I'll be uploading a new one every Tuesday, so please consider to subscribe to my channel. Also, I would appreciate it if you could leave a like or a comment to feed the algorithm of YouTube so more people can see my videos, and this would really help me to grow my channel. This part of the painting didn't need much work at all. I only cleaned up the edges and added some darker grays to create more depth. So overall I worked about 7 hours on this painting, that excluding the drying time of course, and I think that's really good because if I think about doing the same painting as a drawing with colored pencils, it would at least take me about 15 to 20 hours, I guess. So yeah, that makes me very happy. And then finally, to finish the painting, I only added the polka dots on her jumpsuit to create some interesting details, and I could call it a day. I am very happy with this painting, especially the pink tones and the blue tones, which really stand out against this grey background, and I also really like the transition between the darker and the lighter skin tones. So yeah, I really hope you like this video and I see you the next time. Bye!